At Darlington Raceway, something went wrong inside Tyler Reddick's number 45 Toyota, and that malfunction quietly became the turning point of the entire race. The alternator failed mid-race. For most teams, that's a crisis with no clean exit, but 23X on Your Racing's crew made a decision that was unconventional, calculated, and completely within the rulebook. They swapped to a heavier battery with a larger capacity. Reddick didn't just survive the problem, he went on to win. To understand why this move mattered, you need to understand how NASCAR regulates batteries in the Cup Series. NASCAR Vice President of Race Communications Mike Ford broke it down on the latest episode of Hauler Talk. Teams are permitted to install up to 2 batteries, each with a maximum of 12 volts. Both must be mounted in the proper location. But here's the critical detail. NASCAR places no restrictions on battery size. However, there's a significant catch. As Ford explained, we don't have any rules as far as the size of the batteries, but the vehicle still needs to make weight. That one sentence changes everything. Most Cup Series teams deliberately run lighter, smaller batteries to shed weight from the car. Every pound matters at this level of competition. The standard strategy is to run lean and stay under the weight limit with room to spare. But when Reddick's alternator failed, his team had to pivot. They installed a larger, heavier battery, one with enough capacity to keep the car running without a functioning alternator. Ford confirmed the move was entirely legal, so moving to a larger battery, as long as it matched the rules, which the 45 did, you're good to go. The weight rule cuts both ways. Ford was clear about the risk on the other side. If you start with a heavy battery and you swap to a lighter battery and you came in underweight, then you could have a DQ on your hands. Going heavier? That's the safe direction, as long as everything else checks out. The number 45 checked every box. What made this genuinely impressive wasn't just the rulebook knowledge, it was the preparedness. The crew had a higher capacity battery available, knew the rules cold, executed the swap under race pressure, and kept Reddick competitive enough to take the checkered flag. That's not luck, that's operational depth. Reddick's Darlington victory also happened to be the debut of a new higher horsepower, lower downforce package at the 1.366 mile oval. The combination puts more demand on the driver and less reliance on aerodynamic grips, meaning car control and racecraft matter more. This package will also be deployed at Martinsville Speedway and other tracks shorter than Darlington. But the big question fans and teams are asking is whether NASCAR will bring this package to the mile-and-a-half tracks, the Charlottes, Las Vegases, and Kansas Speedways of the schedule. The answer for now is no. Ford was direct. We just felt that you look at the mile-and-a-half races, and I think everyone's in agreement that it's the best racing we have, and so let's not fix what's not broken. That's a deliberate philosophy. The 1.5 mile ovals are producing racing that NASCAR's leadership considers the standard, and there's no appetite to disrupt that. Ford indicated that any expansion of the high horsepower package to those tracks is more of a 2027 situation. He also noted a consistent pattern in the sport. Every single year, the teams catch up to the car and fine-tune it, and that affects the racing. So even without rule changes, the product evolves, and NASCAR monitors that closely. As for the Darlington race itself, Ford admitted expectations were different going in. NASCAR officials anticipated the race would be a little more wild, chaotic. Instead, it was the 5th consecutive Cup race without a yellow flag during the first stage. A streak that reflects cleaner racing, but also fewer dramatic moments. Fan response was measured. Ford put it plainly. I think fans liked it, maybe not loved it. There weren't many wrecks, spins, or cautions outside the stage breaks, which kept the race from generating the kind of restart-fueled excitement fans tend to gravitate toward. NASCAR will use Martinsville this weekend to gather direct driver feedback in one of its regularly scheduled meetings, a standard part of how the sanctioning body evaluates new packages. There were also several other notable Darlington storylines. The Ford of Austin Cindric and the Chevrolet of Carson Hocevar were both taken to the R&D Center following the race, a post-race inspection step that signals NASCAR wanted a closer look at those cars. Pre-race inspection was also a mess for much of the field. Chase Elliott and Chris Buescher both received penalties, and only about half the field passed inspection on the first attempt. An unusually high failure rate that drew attention across the paddock. Additionally, Craftsman Truck Series winner Corey Himes' chase status became a point of discussion following his victory, with questions about eligibility requiring clarification. Now shift the lens from the technical to the competitive landscape, because the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season is raising a question the sport hasn't seriously entertained in years. Is the Big Three about to become a Big Four? The Big Three, Hendrick Motorsports, Gibbs Racing, and Team Penske have dominated NASCAR's organizational hierarchy for over a decade. They have the championships, the resources, the infrastructure, and the history. 23XI Racing, by contrast, is just 6 years old, and yet 23XI is making the conversation impossible to ignore. Through 6 races in the 2026 season, Tyler Reddick has won 4 times. Bubba Wallace sits 3rd in the overall point standings. Reddick opened the season by becoming the first driver in NASCAR history to win the opening 3 races of a season, a record that had never been achieved before. He also won the 2024 regular season championship, establishing himself as one of the sport's premier competitors. Wallace, meanwhile, delivered 23XY's first crown jewel victory with his Brickyard 400 win last season, a milestone that signaled the team had arrived on NASCAR's biggest stages. Co-owner Denny Hamlin addressed the team's trajectory directly on his podcast, Actions Detrimental. His assessment was grounded and vivid. "We're in the neighborhood. We've got the framing up, foundations built, sticks are going up, walls, roof is soon to follow." That's not a boast, it's a construction timeline. The foundation, talent, Toyota support, ownership infrastructure is in place. The walls, consistent race wins, point standings presence, crown jewel victories are going up. The roof, presumably a Cup Series championship or sustained multi-car dominance at the highest level, hasn't arrived yet, but Hamlin believes it's coming. The debate became more specific when Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi of The Athletic discussed 23XY's standing on the teardown following Sunday's race. Gluck said he wasn't ready to place 23XI above Team Penske, currently viewed as the 3rd pillar of the Big Three. Hamlin pushed back with precision. If you're talking about just this year, then he's wrong. If he's talking about over the course of the first 6 years, he's right, because we've been around for 6, and Penske's won more races. They've won a couple of championships at least, Hamlin said. So Jeff is right if we're talking about since our inception. If we're talking about 2026, then he's wrong. That distinction matters. Over 6 full seasons, Team Penske's resume is longer and heavier, but in 2026 specifically, the numbers don't lie. 23XI is outperforming everyone. The fact that a 6-year-old team is generating this conversation against organizations that have spent decades building their reputations reflects genuine structural progress, not a hot streak. What's fueling it? Toyota's technical support has been a consistent advantage. The star power of Hamlin and co-owner Michael Jordan has attracted resources and attention that younger teams rarely access. And critically, 23XI has built a culture that is translating directly into on-track results, not just for one driver, but across both cars in their lineup. The roof isn't on yet, but the house is going up faster than anyone expected.